Hi there, Chris here with another fresh tip for you all. In this video we are going to continue our look at painting the Stonekin Battleborn from Relicblade. In this video we are going to work on his shield, and for that we are going to do a bit of a gem effect. To get us started, we're going to use a little bit of sky blue from scale 75. We're just going to slap that onto our palette using a medium layer brush and quickly lay in a quick little base coat onto this. Now, I'm not too worried about laying a nice even coat on this surface. I'm just simply changing the value of that surface so it's not so bright. And of course, when we move on to our next phase, it is going to make sense. We're going to use some Vallejo retardant. This is water-based acrylic retardant. We're going to use Canterbrick blue. I'm also going to lay a little bit into the little dollop of sky blue that we had used earlier. And very quickly here, we're going to give these a nice thorough mix so that the medium is mixed into the paint. And I'm just thinking about the direction and how I want to lay this color down. Now you can see there's a somewhat generous amount on my brush as I begin to lay this down, but that is fine as long as it's not too heavy. And then I come back in with the sky blue and I begin blending the two colors. Now using retardant gives us plenty of time to play and mix these colors and go for something very, very interesting. Now initially I was going to do it like one big gemstone, but I thought, no, let's make it look kind of like a rough gemstone. So if you've ever seen pictures of like, gemstones like right out of the earth kind of thing, they're very, very rough. The coloring is not very smooth, but we're going to go for a very similar type effect where we do a gemstone, and that is it's darkest near the top, brighter near the bottom. Caribbean blue is next. We're going to slap a little bit onto our palette, use a little bit of retardant to thin it, or not thin it, but to give us a more working time, and then I'm going to basically lay this down into the bottom portion of where essentially I want the light to gather. And again, you can see I'm applying this fairly rough, almost like a sketching type of motion as we lay this color down. And you can see I also laid into other areas where it gets up into the dark areas, and that is fine because again, you imagine that the interior structure of that surface is not pure, and so light would refract off all sorts of weird angles inside the structure, and that's what we're imagining when we do this. Using a bit of scale 75 white, no retardant used, and I'm simply using it right off the palette, and I'm just simply blending this right in. Now, of course, using another color like this, very, very minimally, you don't really have to add a retardant, and in fact, you could use one color with retardant and the other color without, and as you blend the two, the retardant will mix with those other mixtures, and of course, allow you to work with the color far longer. Now, this is a really great opportunity for anybody who's never really done wet blending before to play with it, and on a surface like this, it gives you an excellent opportunity to play with your brush technique as well. You can see here we're coming back to some more Caribbean blue, and we're going to lay it up on the upper band as well. We're imagining a bit like that, how you can see that kind of band along the outside of the shield. We're imagining that that's like a little bit different part of the gemstone. And again, I'm just simply working the colors back and forth. I also take a little bit of the darker blue, lay it down, come in, and again, I'm just playing with the surface. I also had a picture of a rough gemstone in front of me just to give me a bit of inspiration as far as how I wanted this to look. I'm not copying it exactly because again, there's no picture of a gemstone shield anywhere, so I pretty much have to make this up as I go, but I think we're doing okay. And as long as you're kind of following a bit of the rough rules of what you see as far as your reference picture is concerned, and of course when I'm talking about reference pictures, I'm always talking about going to the source of something. Once that's dry, we're going to come in with some Achillean green. We're going to play with this color a little bit, using it straight out of the bottle, and I begin layering in some little high points here where I want the color to deepen up. I'm using Achillean green because I like the green aspect it also casts as well as the blue aspect, which I also want to play a little bit better with the armor because the armor has that nice blue-green quality to it. So I want this to kind of feel in the same vein as the armor as well. We're going to use a little bit of Lamian medium and the Achillean green, and I thinned it out and I begin applying this over the entirety of the shield just to help marry some of those colors together. And I was like, oh, it's a little bit too intense down near the bottom, so I simply grab a clean brush, damp, and draw the excess out. And essentially this is essentially just feathering, and I begin removing some of it where it's a little too intense in color and the saturation. Caribbean blue is next with some of the white. Both of these colors are from scale 75, mixed in a 1-to-1 mix ratio. And of course, we are going to use this to establish some highlights along the bottom portion of the shield. Now, I'm laying this in somewhat of a kind of, dashes and lines. I'm going for edges and throwing little dots here and there. Again, because my inspiration is a rough gemstone. So that's the kind of look and vibe I'm going for here. I throw in like little lines and dashes, just basically, kind of, having fun with it and, just making it up as I go. I also throw some high points as well, again, because, gemstones often reflect light in all sorts of directions. And so some of the areas that might appear quite dark will actually have little spots of light inside them. And that's the kind of thing I was going for. So, again, you don't have to follow it too closely, whatever your source material is. But, again, your inspiration obviously should carry your idea forward. Next, we're going to add a little bit more white to this mixture. Again, giving us brighter highlights, and I'm going to work this inside some of those points that we established previously. And again, we're just looking for areas where we can imagine the light is gathering and is becoming more intense within this, transparent or semi-transparent type of surface that we've created. On the high points, I also throw in a couple little tiny little dots here and there, again, just to kind of give that impression of a gemstone type look. Next, we're going to come in with a little bit more white, add it into the mixture. The mixture by now is more like a 1 Caribbean blue to 2 or 3 white. It's 2 or 3 white. I can't recall how many we've done already. Just throw it onto the palette. And again, we're just going for tiniest of little dots. And I'm trying to keep most of this brighter color out towards the bottom because I do want to, again, keep that, the idea of the transparency. And when you are creating these kinds of effects, it is important to bear in mind of staying true to your original idea and see it all the way to the end. And if it doesn't work for you, obviously you can come back. Here's just some more light streaks running through it. Again, just kind of give it that rough gemstone kind of quality. Next, we're going to use pure white, and this is again to simply lay in the high points along the bottom portion of the gemstone. Here I'm catching just a little bit of the edges. In fact, some of these points I probably could have laid a little bit more white down, but I thought, screw it, and we'll just simply use it fairly conservatively as we lay it down. And again, I lay a couple little high point little dots here and there just to establish the light sourcing and the glare off the stone itself. But there it is. That is a rough gemstone type of look. We've wet blended a majority of it. In fact, you probably could have even wet blended a vast majority of this and simply just come in with the final layering on top of it. But either way you accomplish it, hopefully you guys give that one a try. Huge thank you to all my patrons. Without their support, these videos would not be possible. And if you're considering Patreon support, click the link in the description below, and you'll be taken off to another magical site where you can support at many tiers. Take care of those brushes, and they will take care of you.